This motherfucker has overtaken my brain. He is all I think about. I have almost accidentally called my cat Birdley on several occasions. Help! I desperately need an outlet for all the ideas about this guy I've accumulated since I last replayed Chapter 2, so I've basically created an organized version of my train of thought about him. He and I have the exact same flavor of autism. That's why I love him so much. Like, pretty much everything he does is either similar to or exactly the same as something I did as a kid, or still do. And to start this off, let's talk about crushes. They they aren't real. Those are not crushes. He does not know what romance is. I mean, he decided he had a crush on Susie after she, what, was nice to him and referenced a video game he likes. Yeah, buddy, sure. I also did not understand crushes when I was a kid. Here is a conversation I had with my friend in 4th grade. I have a crush on that guy. I have a crush on his hair. That was said completely unironically. Then I watched Jaden Animation's coming out video and learned that not having crushes is also an option. Okay, next topic. The autisms. He is definitely autistic. We all know this. If you cared enough about him to click on this video, you probably cared enough to figure out how autistic he is. He is so fucking oblivious, and he's so real for it. Honestly, the only difference between us here is that I know I couldn't read a social situation to save my life, whereas he doesn't. Also, I think his usage of fancy, uncommon words is an autistic thing, and also something I do, but it's very exaggerated in him. Like, it kind of sounds like he's reading out of a thesaurus, but in real life, it's kind of just mixed in with more informal, natural vocabulary. For me, at least, the process is really just trying to find the perfect word for whatever I'm trying to express. Sometimes that's slang, sometimes it's a really long and fancy word. Uh, Side note, you know how when Berdly calls Noelle in chapter 4, he says she looks very serene this fine evening, or something? Yeah, so I looked up serene. It means deer-like. He straight up went, "You look like a deer today," to the deer girl. Topic 3, or 4. Berdly might actually be smart. I know, it sounds crazy, but hear me out. How can he be literally number 1 in his class without being at least kind of smart? I mean, he canonically has slightly better grades than Noelle, the person who's supposedly the sole reason why he has good grades. So I'm gonna start off talking about myself a little bit and then tie it back to Birdley. It won't be too long about me, I promise. I was tested into the gifted program at the end of 2nd grade, but before that, my grades were ass. I was getting mostly D's because the information just wasn't sticking the way they taught it. Then, in the gifted program, my grades improved a bit. My average was up to a C. But then my problem was not being able to stay focused. Then I got diagnosed with ADHD, got medicated, and now I have all A's and B's. Now, I don't think Birdley has ADHD, so we can skip the middle step. So, he lives in a small town with only one school, and there seems to be only one teacher per age group, which there are somehow strictly 3 of, so obviously there's no gifted program. So my theory is that Noelle just happens to be really good at translating information in a way that makes sense to him. Speaking of Noelle, Noelle and Birdley do not have a healthy friendship. Birdley basically puts his self-worth on his academic performance, and his academic performance is dependent on Noelle. Therefore, his self-worth is dependent on Noelle. That is not good. If their relationship ever goes south, Birdley's fucked. Another connected topic. This little loser has absolutely ass mental health. He said he won a spelling bee and got addicted to the praise. The praise from a spelling bee. That's not normal. His parents are doing something terribly wrong, but that's all I have to say on that. Final main topic. You know that one Birdley sprite? Yeah, that one. So, obviously, beaks can't bend like that, which means his beak wouldn't be hard like a normal beak. It would probably be rubbery. I hate thinking about this, so I'm making all of you think about it too. Misery needs company after all. Anyways, bonus headcanons and other silly ideas, which I'll also call the lightning round, because I wrote this during a thunderstorm. 1. Whenever he watches a movie, he has an inexplicable and uncontrollable urge to do a live critique and commentary, CinemaSins style. 2. One time, when the main characters were about 9 or 10, there was a party where the older kids had alcohol. And they gave Chris alcohol, and Birdley freaked out because he heard somewhere that alcohol is poisonous, so he thought Chris was actually gonna fucking die. 3. The reason you can die in the Birdley fight is because Queen told him that his attacks don't actually hurt anyone and it's just a game. This one really upset my friends. 4. Susie wasn't the only person who bullied Birdley, but he doesn't know that, because it's that weird psychological/sarcastic bullying and he's too autistic to pick up on it. I did make a little comic about this. 5. My idea for what would happen at the festival is Birdley plays one of those carnival games with complete confidence and loses. Then Chris plays it, wins, and gives Birdley the prize. Rinse and repeat. 6. This one isn't possible to be canon, but I imagined a scene where Chris is having a bit of a mental breakdown and Birdley picks up one of those blocks of cheese that are around the cyberworld and throws it at them. Chris is confused, of course, so Birdley explains that he saw videos of people throwing slices of cheese on crying babies' faces, and they stopped crying. So Birdley assumed it would work the same way for teenagers, but you would just, need more cheese.